I was lucky growing up in Edinburgh. So I saw great art as I grew up. It came to my hometown every year. So that was an initial inspiration. And then when at university, I saw a production of the Cheviot, the Stag, and the Black Oil that was a central expression of what Scottish theatre might be, on our traditions of variety and no fourth wall and all that sort of stuff, and that became an inspiration for me. I was a lawyer, practicing law in Edinburgh, and took my entire year's holiday to work as crew at the festival for the Travers Theatre. I then left the law to become an ASM at the Travers Theatre, and that's where it all started. Oh, there's someone that stands out for me in my career, and that's Sir Michael Boyd. I was his sort of trainee associate at the Tron Theatre in Glasgow. And he sort of taught me everything I knew, in a way. I was able to assist him in a rehearsal room. His philosophy of what a theatre can be was all instilled in me by him. And at the heart of that philosophy is what a theatre can do. In the Tron's case, it was the East End of Glasgow. But I took that forward into Dundee and what a theatre can do to transform a city. And that's exactly what I've tried to do here. Is how to reinvigorate this theatre, put it back to where it belonged, because as I grew up, the Belgrade was actually the theatre south of the border that I heard most about and was most inspirational, particularly in the context of TIE and that whole world. And how do I put it? It was in quite an impoverished state when I arrived. I always have this story in my day one. I'm sitting in the upper foyer and there's a bullet hole through the plate glass window, and I just think to myself, what have I done? What have I done? But it's been a fantastic 18-year journey. And I'm really proud of that. And I think it has done what I set out to do, is transform this city, its aspirations, its engagement with audiences, and it now holds a beloved part of the life of the city. I was really proud of a cabaret that I did in Dundee. I was proud of a Puntilla and his man Matty, which I did in Dundee. My work with Michael was amazing, including a Macbeth that involved my brother, and was a huge hit. And here, it's the local stuff that I remember most. So one night in November, we live and die in these towns. I've always thought theatre is a local place in the end. So I've always enjoyed doing local work, with local artists to try to create a local repertoire, so to speak. And so, as I say, November was an amazing show. I ended up doing it 4 times. Other than that, I've got a very fond memories of Stars in the Morning Sky, which brought together my European influences that I'd got as a young guy from the Edinburgh Festival. Michael was an internationalist. That play was brought to Glasgow City of Culture by the Mali Theatre, who will stand out as, you know, in my life as one of the greatest companies I've seen. And so I loved that show as well. I mean, it's been immensely challenging, but I think that's for the whole sector, and it hasn't ended, if the truth be told. But I am more than happy that my final sort of intervention in theatre making in the country has been successfully achieved. And I hope that the journey that Keys was can provide a sort of roadmap for the diversity that is going to be absolutely crucial to the future of British theatre. What I hope is that people will see what's happened here and try to build their own pathway to diversify the leadership of theatres. But out of that comes an entire different repertoire, a whole set of different stories that could never have come into my head. And I think this year's work has established exactly that there's a new generation of diverse artists that are unbelievably energetic and enthused, that are ready to take over and redefine what a British repertoire is. I think it's got a fantastic future. They've got 2 seriously talented executives to lead it into the future. And in the shape of Corey, an extraordinarily dynamic, creative leader who is diverse and will take everything forward into the next century. I am. He comes from a different tradition. He's very physical theatre. I'm more old schooly. So it's going to be interesting. I'll be learning.